Hello and welcome to the Shadow Shadowcast with your host Thomas Anderson and Abigail Mowat.
Tech Wizard, yes, once more. For I can now edit.
Sorry, did you say Tech Wizard?
I did say Tech Wizard.
Sorry, I heard Twizzard, and I thought
I am
I
the
thought I
Twizzard.
thought it I thought it might have been Quizzard. And I thought, is that something to do with quizzes?
I'm just tired.
Right, okay.
I've been building a shed. Well, I've been helping to repair a shed for 2 days.
I did that once. I repaired a shed once.
I did dismantle pallet boxes yesterday. I was trying to
Oh yeah,
help. and I
that
think I was
ex-
probably making more of a mess than I actually was helping.
that explains that cryptic text message you sent me.
What was the cryptic text message?
I've been breaking pallets up all day.
Yeah. Did I not explain
Very,
that?
very cryptic. I didn't really understand what you meant by that. Deep down, what was the nuance?
The pallets
What
of
was
my
the real
soul.
meaning? Yeah, what was the real meaning? What were the pallets? What did the pallets represent to you? Was it your burden because they carry things? Or are you
I'm
the
trying to
pallet
think.
because
Hold
you
on.
carry things?
No, my sanity, because at any moment they could break. They're that badly built.
Yes, so we've got through to that. You were dismantling your own sanity.
I was helping to dismantle many things.
No, you actually said you have a game that you
I
have been
have.
playing.
I actually had time to properly sit down by myself of my own fruition.
Not fruition. I thought you were
Volition.
about to say fluid and I got very scared. Volition.
Volition. Of my own fruition.
Not volition. You.
My own volition. I actually went to say it properly there. I totally got it wrong. Anyway, under my
Vol-
own steam, I did it.
Volition.
Yes.
Volition.
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 Volition. Volition.
That's it.
Thank you. So I sat down and I played something. Basically, there was a massive sale on Xbox, so I was like, oh, what's there? And there was this interesting game that kind of caught my attention, mainly because of its weird art style. And as we both know, I love a weird art style.
Because you've got your own.
Yes, genuinely, like it's actually a bit concerning me. It's starting to concern me a little bit. So the game is called Shady Part of Me, and I bought it. I was like, it was like $4.99. I was like, do you want Fiverr? Might as well, have a go at it. And I really am struggling to find out what's actually happening so far. You play as a little girl. You also play as her shadow.
Oh, right. So essentially, you're basically two characters.
Yeah.
Right.
And I tell you what, it does have its downside as well as a really cool upside. I'll talk about the downside first. The only downside I
Yep.
can really find is the fact of it's a puzzle game. So you have to play as one character to do a set of puzzles, then you have to switch to the next character, and you switch out between each puzzle basically. Or you have to switch in between during the puzzle to be able to complete a level.
Why is that a bad side?
It feels a bit tedious. Because if you're literally traveling to another part, you have to kind of travel the same way again when you switch characters.
Oh. Okay,
So you can be playing as one character for like a minute, and then you're playing as the other character for another minute. But it feels a bit tedious because you're literally going backwards and forwards. That I find is a bit tedious.
Sort of retracing
Yeah.
old ground over and over again.
Yeah,
Right, okay.
so that's a bit annoying. The art style is really good. I really like it. It's been developed by, please, I hope I pronounced the name correctly, Duze Dixime. And it's been published by Focus Home. And
If I was to guess, it would be Des M's.
probably that. And it's actually available on multiple platforms, so it's not solely for the Xbox. I mean, you can also play it on PlayStation 4 and Nintendo Switch. And I think also for the PC, which is pretty cool. So that's pretty much my only downside. It feels a bit tedious. The plus sides are the fact that it has a really unique art style. It's very Alice in Wonderland-esque. That's how I would describe it. Some parts seem very real and some parts seem obviously fake. I feel like we're going through the mind of the little girl. I don't know if that is what's happening, but it feels like that's what's going on. Because I got to the part where you have a voice of the little girl, but you also have the voice of the shadow. The voice of the shadow sounds like a more mature voice. So the little girl is a little girl voice. The shadow is a much more mature voice. So I don't know if this is somebody looking back in the past or anything like that, but I like that dimension, and also they're interacting with each other, like each of them doesn't really know who the other person is. I find that really interesting.
Person. So I thought this. I might have got lost there. I thought this was a game about a girl in a shadow.
Yeah, but they interact with each other,
Right. Okay.
and they don't. It's like they don't know who each other is. It's obviously her shadow, but they
Right.
don't know who they are. If that makes any sense. Like Shadow doesn't know who little girl is. Little girl doesn't know who Shadow is. And they seem to be trying to find their way out of something. I don't know what it is. This is what makes me think that somebody's looking back at their past self, I think. So art style is really cool. I like the intricacy of the story. It looks really interesting. And also something I really like about the shadow element is that if you think of a shadow, and a shadow looks a certain way on a wall, and then it'll like the shadow be on the floor, the character travels onto the floor as well. So if you've got a shadow that is partially being cast on a wall and then gradually being cast onto the floor, the shadow character follows that. And you also have to create shadows for the character to be able to move.
So the shadow character exists in shadows.
Yeah.
And the shadows move seamlessly from surface to surface.
Yes.
Right.
Which is really cool. You also have to collect like these these origami birds, and they also have shadow versions of themselves. I mean, it's really interesting how the puzzle elements work, and it's quite clever. The fact that sometimes you have to cast a shadow, or you need to make a shadow disappear, and that's the only way you can find something.
Because it would move it out of one world into the next.
Yeah. So if I was to give this game a rate, I've not finished it yet. If I was to give this game a rating, I would probably rate it about an 8 out of 10.
Why?
Partially for the tedious aspect.
Okay.
And also, maybe it's just me, but sometimes I like to know what's happening a little bit sooner.
So it's one of those games where you don't really know what's going on at all.
Yeah, I mean,
You
like,
sort of piece it together,
like
but it doesn't always give you the full answer.
Like I say, so first of all, we just had the voice of the shadow, then we had the voice of the little girl and the shadow. Now there's a third voice that keeps that pops up every now and again, and it's like an older gentleman's voice.
Is it Boise?
It's not Boise. It's not Boise out of Only Fools. Thankfully. Oh, I hated that character with a passion.
Yeah, but the actor's really good.
The actor's
not like that at all.
No,
and
yeah.
managed to create a really slimy character.
Yeah, but so I think it's like, I think they talked about like a doctor at one point or something like this, and there's like these parts that look a bit like a doctor's office.
Right, okay.
So I honestly don't know if there's been inspiration from the Alice in Wonderland games, like Alice Return to Madness, but that's the kind of vibe I'm getting from it a little bit. But it's again, it's its own thing. So I've got those vibes.
It sounds a little bit more like something like Brothers to me.
I've seen Brothers. The gameplay element, yes, I would say that. But the actual story aspect, I would say it's probably a little bit
more
closer to
psychedelic-y.
Not psychedelic-y. It just gives me Alice in Wonderland vibes, and I think it's purely because like things are floating in the air. She's traveling. She's walking on giant cards, like playing cards and things like that. At some points, there's a train that follows her wherever she goes.
Is that Alice in Wonderland you're talking about?
No, this is Shady Part of Me.
Right.
But that's what I'm saying. It feels just Alice in Wonderland in general. It just feels a bit like that. But I really enjoy it.
Okay, that makes
You've
sense.
also got a little girl with really long hair and a white cloak, like a white dress. That reminds me a little bit of Alice in Wonderland as well.
Yeah, similar sort of
vibes.
Colour scheme. Yeah.
So yeah, that's what I've been playing.
What's the plus sides to your 8 out of 10?
The overall story aspect, I do like a bit of a mystery, but I like to kind of know where I'm going.
You need more of a
this point.
setting. Yeah.
Yeah. The visual aspects genuinely are brilliant, I think. The voice acting is pretty decent. For the shadows, in my opinion, the person who's voicing the shadow is a little bit better than the actress that's voicing the little girl. It feels a little bit forced in a way, but then again, maybe that's just me.
Could be deliberate.
Yeah. But I really want to know where it's going. And I think I've talked about this before. A game has to hook me in order for me to want to play it. A game like this. Same with a book.
Right.
Or a TV show. If I'm not hooked in with the first 3 episodes, I'm not going to keep watching it. if I'm not hooked in within the first half an hour of gameplay, I'm not going to keep
So why
playing
were
it.
you hooked in with Halo?
That's a different type of game.
Oh, so it's just a different type of game.
Yeah, this is
Right.
like because that's more action based and this is more of a puzzle based game. In an action based game, there's more to keep your attention. But also, you were there and we were playing
Yes,
it
I
together.
was forcing your attention onto the subject matter, essentially.
Yeah,
Guiding you like a teacher, some might say.
I can't think of a better analogy, so I'll just say yes.
Okay.
I was trying to think of something
Excellent.
funny and I couldn't think of anything.
There's nothing funny about me, hen. Wait.
I could probably say the same thing every now and again.
So, in other words, we hope you listen next week and this week and previous weeks because neither of us are funny or entertaining. And it's a new form of content out there on YouTube. Neither
fair-
funny nor entertaining.
To be fair, my sister has called me funny, but she's called me unintentionally funny, which means I fall down and she
And
laughs.
we can't catch this on a podcast. Fall over now. Fall over now.
I've got no idea if that was picked up or not. I hit the desk.
All you did was punch the desk. It was weird.
I thought I was supposed to sound like me falling over.
But you're not like the size of a stapler. You would make a bit more noise, no offense meant, in any way, shape, or form. But human beings are much bigger than staplers.
You don't know how big my stapler is. It's the
I
size
can
of me.
I can see the stapler.
I don't have a stapler.
So you don't exist.
No, it was a stapler remover. That's what you were looking at.
No, but you said that you're the same size as your stapler, but your stapler doesn't exist. So.
No, I do have one. I just don't have it here.
Oh.
It's on that chair over there.
Is that another euphemism for you being lost? You don't know where your stapler is, and your stapler
There is no
you.
direction. There's nothing to staple my life together. I am without the small bits of wire that will fragilely
Not
hold
wire.
together.
They're not wire. They're metal. They're not wire.
Wire bits of metal that are solely holding, they're precariously holding my life together.
But you said that you can't be. You don't have any staples.
Yeah, they're not doing that.
Okay.
I've lost track.
Yep.
Who
You're
are
both
you?
A palette and a stapler.
My eyes are
Maybe
very
you can use
sore.
your stapler to put your palette back together again.
My hay fever's bad. My
I
eyes
agree.
are so sore.
Oh, is it my turn now?
I think it is.
All right, I'm gonna give me a second to prepare. I hath returned.
Oh, have you?
Yes, I hath. And so hath the seagulls and the duckies.
Oh, I can actually really hear them.
You must be at one with nature, or your palette will fall apart due to lack of staples.
No, our garden is full of the noise of wood pigeons.
Wooden pigeons.
Wood pigeons.
Right. I've been playing a lot of Assassin's Creed Origins. I'm not going to say very much. I've been running through the story mostly because I don't want my character to be too powerful fighting the main campaign and doing lots of exploration to find all the question marks, but I've not been doing the side missions mostly. And I'm just going to say this and then we'll move on. This game is the most perplexing, bamboozling, confuddling juxtaposition of excellent world design, beautiful graphics, excellent characters, and excellent story.
Yeah.
Now, they don't bite into the story or the characters, but they haven't done that since they made an Ezio Assassin's Creed, so that's hardly new. But, or maybe you could say, maybe Black Flag was the last time they did it properly. But they've not done it. They've not done that in the past few games, so fine. But you juxtapose all of that with some of the worst gameplay I've ever seen in my life when it comes to swing and a miss. It just doesn't make sense. I don't really understand. I'm starting to get there. I'm starting to understand the game's rules, but they're so utterly illogical, and the game never tells you. You've really got to question whether or not this game was ever tested, and if it was, the testers should be fired. Unless they brought these issues to the attention of the designers and they just said, no, that's fine, that's what we were looking for, in which case the designers and developers need fired. Because somebody's just totally missed the ball on this one. I mean, I don't actually want anybody fired. I'm using that as a hyperbole. They don't deserve fired because they're actually very close to what they were going for, but they've just missed it on such a gameplay level that it's, at points, just sillily unplayable. And you're just sitting going, how does that make sense? I'm about 50 hours in and I've just figured out what that means and nobody's told me before this. How does that make sense? I was hiding at one point
Yeah.
and some other people started a fight with the guards,
Mm-hmm.
and because the guards were in combat, they were able to see me.
How is that even possible?
One, it's supposed to be so that you can't just stab them and then hide and, you're hidden.
But that's all the fun.
But my issue is this. Surely they should have to be in combat with me. Otherwise, if they're in combat with somebody else who's not standing right next to me, surely that would count as a distraction.
Yeah, that's really weird.
And sometimes they don't see you, and sometimes they do. Sometimes it gives you the wee icon to say you're hidden, and the guard just runs right up to you and stabs you in the face.
I see you. Ta-ta.
Exactly. And you're just sitting there, like, this doesn't make any sense. It took me about 50 hours to realise that when the swords flash red, it's because they're about to attack you with a heavy attack, not that they're charging one up. Because I kept trying to attack while they were charging it up. And that was then, oh, that's not saying it's charged, that's saying they're hitting me with it.
That's
So you're
weird.
supposed to dodge or block. But I
Yeah.
was because with my character, it means you're charging it up, not that you're attacking. I've also seen enemies run right up to me and stab me, and so I've got to try and dodge. But I've also seen them run right up to me and then just stand there, and that's my opportunity to attack. And there's no difference in what they're doing when they come running at you full speed. It's just you're supposed to magically know what they're about to do.
That seems utterly pointless if they're purely relying on some sort of
Telepathy.
prophetic ability.
Yeah, I just don't understand because it. And what's really bad is that apparently, according to lots of other people, the gameplay is the best part of this game. And I'm
Ew,
sitting
ew.
thinking, no, it's not. It's the worst part by far. It just doesn't make sense. I know I'm playing it a good few years after it was released, and they've had two come out since then, but I've played The Witcher 1 and 2. I know what they were going for, and I know how badly they missed it.
Yeah.
Just doesn't. It's one of those things where it's really close, but because it's so close and doesn't work quite right, it's actually miles away at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
But you're sitting thinking, how have they done this? Like seriously, how have they done this? Because it's so, it's just silly things that make it almost unplayable at points. Like I remember I was in a fight,
Yeah.
took a hit and lost over half my health from one hit. When it reloaded and I went back into that fight, I took a hit, exact same type of hit, and lost 10% of my health. I'm saying, how does? I know you get critical hits and you get headshot damage and stuff like that, but
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't shot in the head either time. So it must have been a critical hit. A critical hit doesn't magnify the damage by 5. It just doesn't do that. It usually it magnifies it from what I can tell by about 3. So what? How did that happen? And then one more stab and I was dead. Whereas I took about 3 hits in the next one and I was fine. I didn't even lose one of my 3 blocks of health. It just doesn't. You feel yourself going, I don't really know what happened there.
Yeah. I don't really know what to say. Like, it just seems ridiculous.
Yeah. And it's a shame because everything else works really, really well. My bigger problem would be the fact that they don't bite into the characters' story at any point so far. But it's just weird. It's just a very strange thing that they've managed to make these mistakes. So it just doesn't. Yeah, it's strange. It's almost like they were worried they made the game too easy, so just arbitrarily made things go very badly for you very quickly. And then if that doesn't have a set of rules to it, then you can't prepare.
Yeah.
And so I don't really know what they expected you to do. Because one of the things about The Witcher is if you're going into a fight, you need to prepare for it. So if they take away that preparation element and that ability to actually be able to read a combat environment, then it's just total random what happens to you. It's just completely random, which is a real shame. Like, just before we started, I was fighting one of the hardest things to fight in the game, one of the hardest type of enemy combatants to fight. And I killed him in like 5 arrows to the head. But
Mhm.
I've had fights against things like that, where people like that, sorry, where I've had to do the fight 12 times just because they keep chopping me to bits. Or I've had to give up on it because they're so close to other enemies that you get overwhelmed and you just can't do it.
So do you
Because
sorry.
there's roaming bands of patrolling guards, which makes sense, but
Mhm.
there's too many of them. And so you can pick a fight with somebody, 4 guys turn up, right, I'll fight all of them, and just as you kill in the last one, another 4 turn up, and then another 4 turn up. It's like the game's just randomly spawning them in. It's just,
So do you feel
yeah.
sorry. I can't die. I'm
Go
struggling
ahead,
without
go
a
ahead, go ahead,
screen.
go ahead.
Do you feel like there's just no consistency with the type of fighting styles? Not so much the fighting styles, but the how to
There's a
describe.
consistent randomness to the combat.
Yeah, like there's no consistency within the combat with
No, there is
enemies. Okay.
consistency. It's consistently random. And
No.
I actually genuinely think that's the case. I think they've randomized things to the point where it just doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
And it's just silly. Anyway, yeah. So I'm actually really enjoying most of the game. It's just the actual playing of the game which seems to be a problem,
Everything would be
you know?
great if I didn't actually have to play it. Is
But
that
because they don't bite into the characters or story, you wouldn't watch it as a TV show or a movie. It's just I'm sticking with it because I'm enjoying it enough that I'm willing to give it the time to learn.
yeah.
But I shouldn't be in a position where I'm having to learn the idiosyncrasies of this. It's just it's it's unnaturally random. You just feel like you don't really know what you're doing. Like it really needed a much stronger tutorial
Yeah.
to be able to function like this. It's just a bit off.
Okay. No, I get that.
So it's just yeah. If anybody's going to play it, either really don't play it on Nightmare, which is what I've got it set to. Like I'm fair enough with it being difficult. It's just the fact that it's unintelligibly random that annoys me. But it's either don't play it on Nightmare and it might be easier to handle the randomness,
Yeah.
or either way, you're gonna have to give the game time to be crazy to then work out what you need to do. But
hmm
a lot of the time you'll feel yourself wanting to dodge.
And that's not the best thing to do.
It's not the you'll want to dodge, but sorry, I just got distracted in my own head there. You'll want to dodge out the way of attacks, but the problem is that once you've dodged 3 times, he sort of takes a wee breather. Whew, and then you can dodge again. And if
hmm
you've dodged the wrong number of times at the wrong point, you then just get slammed in the head. There's also things like if you get hit by a multi attack by an enemy, they'll hit you and you won't be allowed to move out the way and dodge even though you're supposed to be able to. And I think that might be because if you're knocked to the ground, you press A to dodge, but it's X at every other time. I don't understand why. And then there's parry. You can press B to parry in combat, but they never tell you that really. I think they told me once and it was a hot tip menu, or oh no, I remember how I figured it out. One of my items said adrenaline on parry, and I thought you can parry in this game, and I was about 40 hours in,
Yeah.
and you're like, or well, maybe 20 or 30 hours in, you're like, oh, you can parry. What? Who said that? When does that happen? What? And I think they told me in the tutorial once, and then that was it.
That's ridiculous. That's like
I remember the training stuff from Assassin's Creed 2, and it was really heavy. It was really do this 3 or 4 times, do this 3 or 4 times, and the buttons come up on the screen in most Assassin's Creed games to remind you what the buttons are. But in this one, they've taken a lot of the HUD out, so there's no mini map and there's no buttons on the screen. And I would have known straight away I could do that if there was buttons on the screen.
yeah.
It's just I don't know. Yeah, it's just that they've gone for something and they've missed it, and it's just not quite right because of it. But I'm going to keep playing it and finish the story at least.
Yeah, well you might as well because there's no point in playing it this much and then not seeing it through. So all you
But,
want to talk about?
well, there are a couple of stories, but the Scotland World Euros,
The Scotland World Cup.
yeah, the Scotland Euros last group stage game is about to kick off, so I think we'll just end it there
Yeah.
and we'll cover these stories next week.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
Hmm.
So I will sign off with if you like what you heard and you'd like to hear more, you can always subscribe to our channel. That'd be fantastic. Hit the like button, hit the share button, hit the notification button for when we upload. You can leave a comment down below. That'd be fantastic. We like all comments and we need comments. Or you can email us at overshadow.shadowcast@gmail.com if you are emailing me. If you're emailing the channel, I don't know because Tommy is the gatekeeper to all emails we receive.
No,
I
if
don't
you're
have
able to,
access.
if you're able to upload, which you are, you're able to access the email account.
I did not know this.
Well, I've never hid that from you. You can do that.
Oh, okay.
You
Cool.
were just you were just making me out to be a wee bit creepily controlling there.
No, I wasn't. I was
I
just
thought
saying
I
I
would
just
cover
didn't
that one.
know.
Right. No, it's because Google and YouTube are the same company. If you start a YouTube channel, you get a Gmail account. So
Okay.
if you can access one, you can access the other.
Okie dokie. I'll have a look at that.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so thank you guys so much for listening, and we hope you come back next week. Bye bye.
Bye bye.